I'm half cut off. Hold on. Let me make you a bit higher. Hold on, hold on. That is... Right, that's a bit better. Is it? Is it really? I don't think it is. Hold on. Okay, hi guys. So today I thought I would come and do my face. That sounds really bizarre. Show my face for a TV wrap up. I don't feel like I've shown my face in one of these videos in a while. Maybe I shouldn't because I still feel like crap. My voice is sort of coming back. I've got the washing machine on. This is probably the most annoying video in the world, but hey ho. I've also got a lot of reviews to talk about for the past 3 months for TV shows that I've finished and want to tell you guys about, give you my thoughts and feelings on. So we're just going to go back into it to July. It's going to be a pretty casual one. I may end up switching halfway over to just a voiceover because I feel like I'm going to be like coughing and pulling some ugly faces, but we shall see. It's early days yet. So throwing it back to July, the first show I finished was called The Widow, which was season 1. I gave it 4 stars. So I will say the first episode of that was a little confusing because the back and forth of different like time zones or different times just in general was a little bit too subtle for me to detect, and I was just a little bit like, what's going on? I did love seeing the different relationships and friendships that grew through the different characters that were brought together from different countries due to this catastrophe. So basically what this is about is this woman gets the phone call that her husband or boyfriend or whatever has been lost in this this plane that he was on has just disappeared. People are, I believe, presumed dead, but like his body's not been found or whatever. And it's really interesting, really dramatic, a lot of character exploration, I would say, and as I said, it brings a lot of different people because they were travelling to the Congo to, I don't know what they were doing, I can't remember, something, I don't even know if it was properly fleshed out until the climax of the story. So you see a lot of different people, and I thought it was just very interesting to see like how everybody deals with this, especially our main character who we're following, who has like doubts in her head and getting a bit paranoid and things like that. Had a great cast. We've got Daddy Lannister, we've got River Song, I can't remember her real name and I can't remember his real name, but it was just an amazing cast as well, especially from people that I hadn't seen act in anything before that I personally had watched. I thought they were awesome. Yeah, so the ones that were new to me as well, I found them very fantastic, really helped carry the drama and the plot. I really liked learning more about Judith's story in this. So Judith is the character that the River Song's actress plays. I thought that was fascinating. She was probably one of my favourite characters in this whole show. So many plot twists that happened that actually worked and had me shocked that I definitely was not guessing at all. I've got to say the ending of the last episode was great, especially the build up to it as well, showing the step by step for the whole reasoning of this whole mess resulted in the gathering of resources. And I don't want to go too much in depth because you wouldn't understand what I'm going on about if you haven't seen it yourself. I don't want to ruin the journey for you, but it puts a lot of things into perspective, which I thought was fantastically done. Episodes at times had me gasping in shock, but I will say I wasn't as hooked as I thought it would have me, and I was hoping to have a lot more to say. Still, nevertheless, a great mini drama with depth and a very interesting, intriguing plot. I gave this one a 4 stars. So that I finished a series called Gentleman Jack. So that one was on ITV1, so channel 3, and Gentleman Jack is on BBC One. Again, season 1, I gave this one a 5 stars. So it's about Anne Lannister, who's like a Victorian landlord, landlady, as she gets up to basically living her life unabashedly, truly, I guess. I liked seeing that actress that I first saw in Dickensian and then in a show called Brief Encounters, and now as I'm watching Peaky Blinders she's in that too. I can't remember her real name, but she's very, very good. I love her. I think it seems that she's just amazing at that sort of era, those sort of periodic dramas she excels at. That's just her script, I guess. I thought she was fantastic in this. I swear I saw Greyjoy from Game of Thrones' sister. I think she was Jack's sister Marianne, if I remember correctly. I've also seen her in Hetty Feather as well, which is that Jacqueline Wilson TV adaptation on BBC, no, CBBC. Anyway, I loved the bit of fourth wall breaking that we had in this. Oh my god. And that she was called out on it. Like, there was a scene where she said she did something and she looked at the camera like, and then whoever she was talking to was like, Anne, who are you looking at? And she was like, oh, nothing. I just love that. I love that for superhero characters like Deadpool as well, but when it's put into like a real life perspective, I don't know, it just worked fantastically. And the swagger of her as well was amazing. She was just confident in who she was. Now, it's important, I think, to say that at this time, Victorian ladies were very much expected to be seen as a lady. Jack dresses more, she feels comfortable, she wears like a suit top thing and then like a dress skirt bottom things, and she walks with the swagger of a man sort of thing. So she gets a lot of odd looks, a lot of rumours are spread about her, but she has quite a reputable name as this landlady, as this sort of what do you call it, like a, not the leader, what's the word, the household keeper, do you know what I mean? Like, she has this estate that she runs in her father's name because her father's like, he needs someone to sort of run it for him now, in his health and age and stuff like that. So yeah, she is a very uncharacteristic character for a female of this time, but that just made it even better. I believe it's based on true events of an actual woman, like the Diaries of Anne Lister, I believe. But I like this actress in whatever I see her in. She's impressed me yet again. I saw her in, I think I know her mainly as what's it called, she was in Doctor Who as the TARDIS, like the personification of the TARDIS at one point. She's been in a lot of stuff, a lot of drama. I've seen her in quite a few different shows on Channel 3, like ITV3 as well. Not that I've seen it, but the show itself kind of gives me the Sherlock Holmes vibes, with Benedict Cumberbatch, that show. Her in general, very badass. She just takes everything in her stride and owns it. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's very peculiar to see a woman of that time, or that era, act the way she acts, I guess, if you want to say it like that. And I'm actually surprised to see how many people aren't sort of obviously acting and rebelling against that, because you know, people at the time, even now, they see something they don't like and they want to sort of crucify it. I think that's awesome that that isn't a thing. People sort of do have their whisperings, but they kind of just let her be because she's like a strong character of a person, you know what I mean, and they just like her because of how she tells it to the point. She's, you know, a good person. But I presumed at that time, in my head from history, I would have thought she'd have been shunned a bit more, called like a spinster, you know, those sort of things. I also would have expected a lot of the ladies to be escorted around by people, like mainly like older relatives, or I don't know, just have escorts, like not that sort of escort, but you know what I mean, accompaniment all the time. But they had a lot of freedom. I don't know if it's just because this is more in like the countryside as opposed to London, where perhaps those sort of things are more strict. This is just me working it out in my head and trying to think, I don't know. That's just one thing that I thought. Pleasantly surprised with how well the Good Doctor are in terms of mental health and the understanding and how they spoke about it. I feel like this wouldn't have actually been the case during that time, but it was nice to see. It was quite pleasant to see, actually. It had some really explosive episodes that I was just not expecting. In between watching this, actually, I was watching another show on the BBC called Years and Years, and was excited when I recognised one of the characters from that as well. The new groom in Gentleman Jack was one of the partners of the Lyons family in Years and Years, and I was like, oh, it's so cool to see that contrast of different like timepieces and different shows in general, and to see how an actor can change themselves according to the role that they're cast for. I swear I've seen him in a lot of other things as well, but I really just can't pin it down. I absolutely love the show. So glad that it's going to get another season. I would definitely recommend Gentleman Jack if you're interested in like those sort of periodic drama pieces. After that I watched, or finished watching, season 2 of Riverdale, which I gave 4.5 stars. This one is a longer review now, so I'm just gonna sort of read it to you. I hope you don't mind. I'm feeling lazy, but I wanted to get this video filmed because I was getting it pushed off, and I was like, yeah. But anyway, so for this one, I love the contrasting colour and the tone of the Riverdale school, vibrant, bright, with that of the Southside school, blue and like cold, I guess you could say. So I felt a little mixed in emotions when I watched season 1. It was kind of weird, but I liked it enough to carry on. With this season, I sort of just watched it to prepare myself for a hypothetical Sabrina crossover, which I haven't, at that time, I hadn't seen yet, as they're set in the same world, and especially as they mentioned Greendale. Although apparently she lives in Riverdale in this world, that was wrong. Ignore that. I've seen Sabrina since. I think I have a review later on in the months to follow. I just feel like I really needed to pay attention, because it's just so odd that if I glance away I miss those like unique connections between the two, of which there were a few of. Not as obvious, or not as many as I was expecting. I really found it had a sort of Scooby-Doo mystery feel in this particular series. All the kids seemed to find their way into being a part of a crazy, dangerous investigation. There was this whole FBI plot with a character, and I just can't fathom how all that was allowed with a schoolgoer, and how basically nobody are protecting these young uns. Does anybody else get those feelings when they watch Riverdale? Like, these are supposed to be high schoolers. How are you getting so involved in murders and things of that nature? I don't know, bear with me. I'm gonna go get my honey and lemon and ginger. But continuing on, it was interesting seeing a divide settling in, the growing of gang violence, which I actually love learning more about the South Side and their community. But I've got to say, I live for all the singing scenes. I really do like the musical episodes. Like, I remember in American Horror Story, sorry, I'm just fixing my trousers casually. Those are the episodes that I adored, like I really looked forward to, and it's the same for Riverdale. Like, I love a musical episode, I really do. Right, let's get back to that, because I moved and somehow everything's disappeared. But yeah, Tony Topaz had a great comment in regards to this horrible like gay conversion storyline, with the sisters of whatever, Silent Mercy, Quiet Mercy, whatever. What the hell decade is this? And honestly, that's how I felt about the whole show, to be honest. What decade is it? Like, it just feels very theatrical and over the top, which I feel like the actors love, because it's like everything rolled into one. But I always feel like I'm missing something, even though I do enjoy it. This season though, after getting back into it, was once again very, very addictive, and I keep pressing that next episode. The final episodes again were very explosive. I thought there were 23 episodes, so after letting the tablet charge up to continue with that one, I was shocked to see that I was on season 3, so that kind of just happened out of nowhere. I'm just going to continue, let's read them, and then have a little conversation with you. I hope you don't mind. The laziest way ever to film this video, but I'm blaming it on being sick, even though I'd probably do this if I wasn't sick as well. Let's carry on, let's make this chill, let's make this cozy. I then decided to watch Santa Clarita season 1, no, the Santa Clarita Diet season 1 is what I finished, 4 stars. So I didn't realise it was Drew Barrymore until I saw her name. She looks very different to how I remember her. It's like a horror comedy following a husband and a wife, real estate agents, whose lives turn crazy when Sheila, who's the other half of the real estate agent company thing, turns into a zombie. It's hilarious, but the acting is super over the top, so if you can get through that, I think you'd have a really good time with it, because it is very funny. The funny thing is, I recently started watching The Mick, which is another sort of comedy sitcom show, just before this, and the housekeeper is the same woman. Anyway, this was really good. I thought it was going to be more horror rather than comedy, but I enjoyed it nevertheless. Going straight on to season 2, I pretty much watched that straight away. I don't think there's many episodes in each season, so you can get through them quite quickly. I gave this one 4.5 stars, the other one I gave it 4 stars if I didn't already say. Again, I sort of accidentally carried on with this. I didn't even realise it had 3 seasons out, so I was going through these really quickly, not really knowing. It jumped to the next season and I was like, this is fine. And all I could think of was that like fire meme dog, like, okay. And you know what, I think I was enjoying it even more than the first season. Once I got into the weird, funny, macabre feel to it, I really just started laughing out loud and going with the flow of the show. It is a very strange show, you just kind of got to go with it, you know. Now I won't say too much, but in case you need a refresher, two realitors' life turns upside down when one of them, Sheila, turns into the undead, as I just said. The series follows more on the idea of trying to find out why it happened and if it's affected anyone else, and like the connections between all of that. So that took an interesting like plot. It still had a plot, but it was still like, it's like this plot that carries through, but you're not always there for the plot, you're just there for the fun, you know what I mean? The characters I warmed to even more, particularly the badass daughter Abby. She's actually really cool. Maybe the role feels a little bit too try hard and disconnects me a bit, but I still like her. The neighbour, Eric's mum, is so creepy but really hilarious. The principal is definitely a different character though. I feel like he's a different person. I don't know, I don't remember him looking like that from the first season. And the new character we become acquainted with is very creepy as well, but again the humour is just amazing. It's just so dry. It's what I would describe as kind of like British humour, you know, dry, like sarcastic, but I don't know, a little bit over the top. It's still very over the top acting, but I enjoyed it more once I got used to it. The ending was bloody fantastic. Taking it over to some vigilante stuff, I checked out Daredevil season 1, which I gave a 3.5 stars. I have got something in my eye. Get out of my eye. Honestly, I was never really interested in watching Daredevil. It's a character that I didn't really know too much about, but wanting to get back into the Marvel shows, I decided to try and attempt to watch them in some order, probably skipping the series I've already watched, although I am intrigued to see any direct connections to Jessica Jones and stuff like that, as they're in Hell's Kitchen 2, I think. Honestly, I thought this was an older series than it was, and I was very confused as it said 2018, but then maybe that's when the latest season came out, I don't know, because I looked it up and it was from 2015. But anyway, it follows a vigilante who also works in law, trying to take down a corporate crime syndicate. I imagine Daredevil is this much older guy for some reason, so I was shocked when it was who it was. Is Claire in Luke Cage or Jessica Jones? Because I do feel like I've seen her as well, and so far other than this, those are the only of the sort of Marvel Netflix shows that I've seen. First season of Jessica Jones and then part of the first season of Luke Cage. I feel like I've seen her before anyway. I like how Fisk is a big crime lord, but he gets nervous around a girl he likes. I don't know, I feel like it really humanised him as a character and contrasted him well with the race to stop his crimes. You can actually see that there's something under there. Actually, as my boyfriend said, it humanises everyone, this show. I found myself feeling bad for a particular villain, Vladimir, crazy stuff. Once I got into this, the episodes felt too short and I actually wanted more. I'm glad I persevered though, because some episodes I had on just as background, I did end up quite getting into it. So yeah, I'm glad I ended up checking this out, and hopefully I enjoy the next season for that much more than I did this one, or get into it quicker, you know. So now we are going into August. So first thing, I mentioned this show a little bit earlier when I was talking about a different show. This is the Mick season 1. So yeah, this is a sitcom I wanted to check out. I rarely watch sitcoms, to be honest, but I caught a random episode and thought it was very funny, so I wanted to check it out from the start. It's about this aunt who rocks up to her rich sister's house after money and ends up having to stay and look after the kids. There was an actual real good episode on safe sex, which I wasn't expecting, but was both funny and very informative. After a while, I had it on as like a background, but I always found myself full on just watching it. It was super funny and I was very excited to start season 2. And then I decided to go back to a show that I had done a video on, not recently, a couple of years ago, I think, Trollhunters. So I did a book versus TV show comparison kind of review thing. If you're interested, you can check that out. And I decided to go back and watch season 2, which I gave it 3 stars. So I jumped back into this fancying something to just chuck on again whilst I read, did bits around the house, etc. I didn't realise when it went on to season 3, yet again you can see a common denominator here. Anyway, it's a fun bit of entertainment. I reviewed season 1, as I mentioned, in comparison with the book. But the rest I'm sort of just watching when I fancy some background noise, so not really following the plot that much. September now, we're into the last month of these TV reviews. So I finished up season 3 of Riverdale, which gave a 4.5 stars. The first episode I was a little lost, but then the whole trial thing started making sense, but the darkness was really confusing. I'm guessing, well, at the time I was guessing that's how they introduced Sabrina. I wanted to know if this farm thing was a cult. I'm sort of being vague with my thoughts just because I don't want to spoil anything if you guys haven't seen it, but you know the basics of each season, I feel like, before you watch them. It just got dark really fast and I actually thought I was missing something. The juvenile centre absolutely sickened me with its corruptancy, actually made me legit angry. I wanted to know more about Mad Dog, my heart ached for him. The serpent lawyer spy person really irritated me, that she just keeps threatening kids and going after them, because when you do boil down to it, she's an adult and these are all kids. Yeah, they're in a gang or whatever, but she's like, pick on someone your own age, you know what I mean, your own size. I wish I'd seen The Breakfast Club, because I swear there was an episode dedicated to that film basically. I really did love that episode though, in the storytelling way it was told by Betty's mum. There were also some very noir feeling vibes. These are the things that I enjoy out of this show, like they really take an atmosphere and like go with it, you know. But it also pulls me out of the fact that these are supposed to be high schoolers yet again. I always have that weird sort of stop and start, like I'm really enjoying it but then I'm like, how is this even possible? They're supposed to be kids, you know. And that's something that's probably always going to bother me. Hiram Lodge is certainly a piece of work. Again, he constantly is attacking a group of kids and it's ridiculous when you think about it. I loved the Heathers episode as usual. I love how they end up like manipulating it into the narration of the actual storyline. It's hella cringe but in the best way, and it looks like they really matched the characters and the situations up well without deviating too much from the main story's line. The end song about being 17 made me want to cry, and I did cry, and then it got, well, weird, you know, really fast. I've never seen Heathers before but I actually want to see it now. Spoiler, so I guess when my phone is down the spoiler ends, so if you don't want to know any spoilers for season 3 of Riverdale, skip until you see this phone disappear basically. Why was Veronica deeply upset with her mum and dad separating when she was conspiring with her to get away from him in the first place and to put him in prison and shit like that? Hiram, I feel, changed rather abruptly. His character was just so shady. It was just such a weird character I couldn't pinpoint. There were unanswered plots with the supernatural aspect and it didn't have as much of a literal climax as I was anticipating, especially when we're coming back to connecting with Sabrina. There was no crossover anytime soon that I thought we were going to get. It just didn't happen. But it was rather epic. There was a rather epic LARPing moment at the very end. If you don't know what LARPing is, it's like live action role playing, and I've always wanted to do it but I've never had a chance. There were so many twists right up to the very last minute and some were a bit far-fetched but enjoyable still. I feel like I've got to season 3 of quite a lot of stuff of late. I was finishing off quite a few shows. Trollhunters season 3, 4 stars. These have gotten better and better, I feel, as the series have gone on. It got kind of creepy. There was this possession plot that came in concerning Claire, one of the main characters. I also mentioned drugs and internet trolls, and I was like, what age group is this really? I thought it was middle grade. I kind of wish I paid stronger attention throughout the whole of season 3, as it seemed really good and did have a lot of depth. I feel like the characters proper built up, and they felt like circumstances that I cared about. I ended up feeling like I missed so much because I wasn't paying attention fully, and I'm like gutted a bit now. So much escalated that I didn't keep track of when I really should have, because I feel like it was probably the best season out of all of them. I'm definitely going to have to go back to it and watch it properly at some point. It felt very final. I can't imagine them coming back for another season, or at least not for like a few years maybe, I don't know, if at all. It did feel like the end. And then I checked out The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, season 1, 4.5 stars. My throat's hurting now because I've been talking for so long. I really love how we've sort of dived straight into her life, where she's a fully competent half witch, as opposed to the learning of becoming a witch that we get more in the also very much loved original Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I also like how Harvey wasn't like this super popular, unattainable like vibe kind of guy. He was geeky and cute, and I liked that. However, just like Riverdale, it's also hard to place the era that they're going for, like what sort of vibe they want it to be set in, like, you know what I mean? And also, why is Helga and Ambrosia very... The washing machine frightened me. Why is Helga and Ambrosia very, very British, and the others are like not? I don't know. It's never explained, and although I get that people can live anywhere, I'm honestly curious to know if the Coven was a British-American merge or what. Like, it confuses me when you're in like some sort of like an American state or whatever, or fictional state or whatever, and there's like, you're in the same family and you're like blood sisters, but one of you've got a complete different accent. Like, it confuses me, and I want to know the backgrounds to why that is, you know. So anyway, it sounds like the aunts in particular are a complete different set of people. Like, the witches are definitely not seen as human, especially when they said a long pig dinner, which I looked up and it meant human flesh in regards to food, which creeped me out, and I don't remember them being witches in services to the Dark Lord Satan in the kids show. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It took a much darker approach, and I actually kind of liked it. Anyway, very dark. But it was really interesting to see what they meant about the Dark Lord, etc. Specifically, I think in the second episode they talked a little bit more about their like views and beliefs and stuff. I don't get why Sabrina is telling everyone that she wants to outwit the Dark Lord. Like, come on, the Coven are not going to like that. I think I heard the actress is actually allergic to cats. I bet that was hard, but pretty cool how they still managed to film. I kind of wish Salem talked. It has some weird camera play, like the soft focus around the edges is quite uncomfortable to look at whilst the camera sways. I don't know if that's to intentionally provoke a sort of feeling, but it kind of just made me feel a little bit sick. I do find, like in Riverdale, they pointedly say characters' names unnecessarily at the end of sentences, and it just feels like a forgotten afterthought. So they're like, no, I didn't, Sabrina. It's like, okay, so much angst. Like, did you forget her name for a second? Did you have to take a breath? I don't know. Overall, it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be, but I really did enjoy the series. So we've got 2 more shows to finish up now. So again, I finished up Santa Clarita, Dyer season 3. Gave this a 4.5 stars. So, I need to recross my legs. Back at it again with the season 3. I actually started to crave this show. It was great. I started doing household stuff, but you know, sort of pottering around the house, cleaning up. But now again, like with Trollhunters, I just wish I watched it more closely because it was one of the best seasons of it. What was with the final moments of the last episode? I really hope there's more. And I also finally checked out properly Peaky Blinders season 1. This is another show that comes on or came on the BBC One originally, but I think it's on Netflix now, so I don't know if it's finished completely and they just put it all on there. But this was so good. I gave this 4 stars. I gave the Santa Clarita Dyer season 3 a 4.5 stars. I can't remember what I said. But anyway, back to Peaky Blinders. So good. I don't know why it took me ages to check out, because I love periodic dramas, as you can tell from some of the other stuff I've watched and reviewed. But this one is gritty with some very violent scenes, but it's great fun. It's following the Shelby family as they run Birmingham with their like illegal jobs. And it's got so much character depth, and I think it's based around some actual events that happened and stuff, so it's really cool. But yeah, I want to mention the Amazing World of Gumball episode called The Nuisance. So the mayor in this was definitely Trump in looks and talked about evicting people that aren't normal. Sorry, that was me doing that, but my phone was in my hand. And yeah, he was making a gated community. Cough cough, did someone say a wall? But anyway, yeah, it was a really good episode, and I love how they go just to the edge in like importance and real life happenings while still being a fun kids show. So yeah, The Amazing World of Gumball, love that show. Anyway, that is it for this very sick, very lazy TV show wrap up for the past 3 months. TV shows that I've been checking out, finishing, thought they were worth talking about. Let me know what you've been watching, if you've got any seasons of TV shows that you think I should check out. Let me know. I'll speak to you in another video soon. Bye.